Hello and welcome, it's Adam from betterproposals.io here, and we are back today with season 3 of Proposal Breakdown. Now in today's episode we have the e-learning network. They are, we think, converting some sort of old antiquated learning system into some sort of e-learning thing. Now they have sent this as a PDF, which isn't the best start in the world because generally speaking, unless you've had a lot of design power put into creating a PDF, generally if they're done in something like Word or Pages, maybe slightly better, but they're done in Word, they don't look good. They don't look good. It's very, very hard to make a Word document look impressive, and that is abundant here. So the first thing I would say, the cover, they've got their logo, they've got some words on here, date and some other nonsense. It's incredibly wordy. This whole proposal is incredibly wordy. So what should be really a straightforward sentence, technical and financial proposal for development of interactive online training courses for, and then the company name. That could be said so much easier. It really could. Yeah, that's a common theme here. So moving on, the first pretty much whole page of this proposal it's in a table, so it sort of looks like a CV or a resume. It doesn't look like a business sales thing. It just doesn't. It doesn't look impactful. Doesn't go, oh cool. Like there's no. It's just flat, just in a table, and it's just text. So all of the text is blue. It's all in this box, and it's all about them. So the whole first page is just literally nothing but information about them. But there is some gold in here, but they have failed to capitalize on it. So somewhere in the middle of all of this mumbo jumbo, they have that they've worked with Google, Samsung, and the US consulate. Put the logos in. Like, if you've done that kind of thing, bring that to the forefront. Even if you just had conversations with those people, just put it in anyway. It's only going to look good. You see it all over the internet these days, you know, as seen on, and then, you know, a load of websites. Like maybe they bought some advertising space, who knows? But no one can check it, so what does it matter? I'm not advocating lying, of course, but use whatever you can to, you know, to your advantage. So if they've worked with or, you know, collaborated with some of these sort of, you know, some of the biggest companies or institutions in the world, you kind of want to make a point of that. So not off to the best start. So they keep going on, sort of talking about themselves. So page 2, they've got a project summary, which really kind of should be the other way around, if anything. But again, this whole thing reads like a personal letter almost. You know, project summary, organization experience, training benefits. I mean, rationale, project and purpose. All of this stuff is they're not trying to move anybody from A to B. That's what you're trying to do with the proposal. You're trying to get somebody from where they're at to where you want them to be. And that's an emotional state and a place of learning and logic that you have to use to get them to that next stage. So in order to do that, you need to know where they're at. And that's what the discovery and the conversations are for before you even sit down to write the proposal. So you are armed with this information, and then the proposal writing becomes incredibly easy. So we move through here. I mean, it's just, I mean, I hate to say it because obviously there's an awful lot of effort that's gone into this, but there's just pure waffle from start to finish. Everything's overly wordy, overly described, overly technical, acronyms, you know, all over the blooming place. And it's very hard to get to the nuts and bolts of actually what's on offer here. So finally, somewhere on page 3, they have project goals and purpose. Now this is great. They've got 1, 2, 3, and it goes to build a learning management system to deliver entrepreneurship courses to the youth of Pakistan. Perfect. That should be the first thing that's on this whole document. Digitized entrepreneurship course developed by, and then the client name, to train the client, members to use, deliver and maintain learning management system. That's perfect. That should lead this whole thing. So you read that first and then everything else follows from there. It makes so much more sense if you just flip that round. So moving on, they've got some good bits in here. They've got the time frame and the work plan. So they've got a nice little table. I mean, it looks like it's fallen off the back of a truck, but the content on it's good in the sense that it states out phase 1 is going to take a month, phase 2 is going to take 2 months, and phase 3 is going to take a week. And then it goes into breaking down those pieces of information. Again, doesn't look like much, but the information's there. And then it's got the budget, which explains the costing very, very simply. There's no ambiguity there. It's very, very clearly laid out, and it makes absolute sense. So that's really, really good. And it's something that, surprisingly, a lot of companies get wrong, is they make their pricing awfully complicated. And so it's really, really good that they've managed to get that really, really nice and simple in a table. But there's a major thing missing here, and that's some next steps. So even if I wanted to buy this thing, I couldn't, because there's no next steps. There's nothing that tells me, okay, cool, so you're here, now here's the next bit. We arrange a phone call, we do this, we do that, you sign, whatever the situation is. So I don't know what the next steps would have been. I guess step 1 would have been sign the agreement somehow. Step 2 might be set up another phone call to sort of do some further discovery, or raise an invoice or something like that. So generally, your next steps are fairly basic things. They're usually something like sign it, invoice, a phone call, relatively basic and elementary things. And you want to keep them simple so that the person that's signing this thing isn't thinking they've got some massive task list ahead of them. They might have, but don't advertise it to them. So you just want to keep it nice and simple. Everyone can get their head around a phone call. Everyone can get their head around receiving an invoice and making a payment. And everyone can get their head around somehow signing a document. So that's what's massively missing here. There's no terms and conditions. So perhaps that would come later. Maybe it isn't involved at all. I don't know. But there's no next steps. And that's really, really bad here. So generally speaking, it's not very good. But I think there's an awful lot of things that can be learned from this. Really be very careful about the amount of words that you use. It's so easy, especially when you're doing something that's technical. It's incredibly easy to just type and type and type and type and use acronyms and things that you understand, but somebody reading it doesn't necessarily understand it to the same level that you do. So try and be somewhat sympathetic to the fact that there's a good reason why somebody's involving you in this project, and that's because they don't get it. So if you go and reply to them with a load of technical stuff that they don't necessarily get, then it's just going to confuse them, and no one buys anything when they're confused. It's not a state that you make a confident purchase in. So try and keep that in mind. So yeah, I don't know if I was giving it a grade out of 10, it probably wouldn't be a very good one. But yeah, hopefully you have picked up some things there and can apply it to your proposals, and stay tuned for the next episode.